All right, some more footnote tips. Just remember that each citation is single space, but there's an extra space between each citation. Now, if you have already fully cited a source once in the footnotes, the next time you cite it, you can shorten the citation. So let's say the first time in your paper you are citing Toby Wilkinson Dictionary of Ancient Egypt. As you can see, you'd have to give me the full footnote with all the information in it. Let's say later on in the paper, maybe a few pages later, you use that same source again. The second time, you can shorten it just with the author's last name or first and last name. The title, you can even shorten the title if it's a really long title. And then there you go. Right? Now, if your next footnote came from the same source as the previous footnote, you can simply type IBID period and the page number, if there are page numbers. So an online source might not have page numbers. So let's say footnote number 1 is from Toby Wilkinson, the Dictionary of Ancient Egypt, etc., etc., etc. And then your second footnote is from the same exact source, right? And you can just put IBID period. That lets me, the reader, know, footnote number 2 came from the same place as footnote number 1. So if you have 2 footnotes from the same exact source, or even, it may even have 3 footnotes, and they're all from the same source. You can just put, for that second and third footnote, IBID, and then the page number, if there is any, lets me, the reader, know, hey, that came from the footnote just above it. Always make sure that the first line is tabbed over in your footnote. Always make sure your footnote's in Times New Roman and 10-point font. Always make sure each entry is single space with an extra space in between each entry. Now, where to place a note number within your paper. Note number should be placed at the end of the clause or sentence to which they refer and should be placed after any and all punctuation. So here's a sample I found online, and in it she has a direct quote. So you can see the open quotation marks, imagining a rhizome might be nice, but rhizomes don't describe the underlying structure of real networks. Close quotation mark, and then the footnote number. Right? You can see she did the same thing down here. So what do you cite? Any direct quotes, of course, just like in the example above. Any uncommon statistics. Any idea that is not originally yours. And when in doubt, just cite it. Now, super common stuff you don't have to cite. Like you don't have to cite George Washington was the first president of the United States. Everyone knows that. You wouldn't have to cite that. Since this paper is on the atomic bombing of Japan, if you're using the date we dropped the bomb, you don't have to cite that. That's common knowledge. A lot of people know the date we dropped the atomic bomb. Not a big deal. Now, if you're finding out information about the pilot that dropped the bomb, and you use a quote directly from him that you found somewhere, that you'd have to cite, because that's not yours. Okay? So, when in doubt, cite it, so you don't accidentally plagiarize. Also, remember, the end of every footnote end in a period. It's the same with your bibliography entries. To each entry, end with a period.